to each and every one. We are here in our Anger Management 101 class. We are so happy to see those who have come out to learn more about how to control or cope with your anger. I do want to apologize for those who were uh, in the wounded um, families class. I saw where it did post. However, I don't believe there was any audio. It's something how that we have to deal with technology. It works when it wants to. But I do apologize. And prayerfully tonight, everyone can hear the broadcast. Just like to remind everyone is welcome to join us on our broadcast. For the Hagerstonians, we would like to see you contact me for your certification form so that you can give some information that will be able to provide to the federal government to continuously receive our funding. I am so happy to have some to participate. Our numbers are increasing. I believe some people are getting something out of our broadcast, and that is very encouraging. I have started also, before we go into our lesson, giving food for thought. And I do have food for thought for tonight. And we've been talking about the battle of the mind, and that's where we have most of our issues with the mind. But as we have been talking for the last 2, 3 weeks, that anytime you want to deal with your emotions or your feelings, your anger, Psalms is the best book to go to get some healing, to get results, to hear of stories of our patriarchs who have the same issues that we have in life. Because as the word of God says, there's nothing new under the sun. So anything that we're going through tonight, it's nothing new. But we want to encourage you that you're not alone. And because you're not alone, we're going to get through it because there are some remedies for it. All right, here in our food for thoughts, I want to read as follows in my notes. The more we try to take care of our own problems without asking God to help us, the more we will struggle. I was quite independent and found it difficult to humble myself and admit I needed help. And I can probably sense that many of you had that issue of admitting that you need help. But I'm glad that some of you are admitting that I need help because I can control my anger. But however, when I finally submitted to God in these areas and found the joy of casting all of my care on Him, I could not believe I had lived so long under such huge amounts of pressure. Commit to the Lord your children, your marriage, your personal relationships, and especially anything you may be tempted to be concerned about. In order to succeed at being ourselves, we must continually be committing ourselves to God, giving to Him those things that appear to be holding us back. What are you saying? Let it go. Get rid of it. Stop it. Any word that you want to use that will allow you to turn it over to God, surrender to Him, and He will work it out. Only God really knows what needs to be accomplished, and He is the only one qualified to complete that work in us. The more we sincerely commit ourselves to Him, the greater the joy of letting go and trust in Him. And I was thinking of some of the information that I was studying on about anger. And I want to go to where we have talked about in the past the ABCs of anger. And we have learned in the past to abstain from the negative thoughts or behaviors. But I also want to say that I want to put some emphasis on what that food for thought was saying. We got to let go of anger and leave rage behind. Do not be preoccupied. It only leads to evil. It also means refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. Stop being angry. And many of us, we may read the Bible and we hear the scripture saying, be angry and sin not. Well, in this scripture that I took all this from was Psalms 37:8. And we have to stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Many of us, if you look at the meter on the screen, it will show you where you are. And not only do you have anger issues, but you're going up the scale and you enter into rage. But you need to turn from your rage. Do not lose your temper. It only leads to harm. So we're going to get back to the meter, but before we do that, we're going to continuously talk about the ABCs. B, develop new beliefs. And C, communication. Abstain from negative thoughts and behaviors when you are faced with a situation where you are likely to become angry. Concentrate your thinking. You're upset. Thinking promotes upset feelings, which in turn creates a reaction within your body. As a man or a woman thinks in his heart, so is he. That is one of the Proverbs. As thinking and self-talk becomes negative, you will act out anger or rage. After you have acted out, you may make promises to the recipient of the anger or rage that it will never happen again. I've heard that too many times, and I still have to come with such rage, with such anger. They didn't mean it, and they did not control their anger. They didn't turn it over to God. I know I had somebody to tell me that a couple of days ago, said, I see you are changing. Well, when you know that you allow your anger to get out of control and it's causing you to be violent, to react in rage, those are some major issues. And you could end up being very harmful and be in big trouble. So I didn't want that in my life. I had to take control or manage my anger. Anger is like a radiator in a car. The thermostat is not working and the car begins to overheat. What happens if you stop the car and immediately remove the cap on the radiator? You're thinking about it, right? It explodes. But if you stop and let the radiator cool down before you open the cap, then there's no explosion. Anger management works the same way. In order to be able to let the engine cool down before opening the cap off your anger, you will need to apply anger management tools. More than anything else, We need a plan of action to help with our anger. One very effective key is to use stop signs before anger increases to the point of no return. Stop speaking when you first begin to notice you are becoming angry. You take control by stop speaking negative thoughts. I see so many people want to speak negative thoughts and their meter is going up higher and higher. And we will get to the meter in just a few minutes. Stop staring. Don't stare when you're angry. Look at the floor, the ceiling, look anywhere, but do not stare at the other person. It will ignite your anger. Stop interrupting. We need to train ourselves to not interrupt if we want to control our anger. I find in many situations that I have been in lately, they want to yell at you, they want to keep talking so you can't be heard, or to show their anger because they can't control it. Stop cursing. If we stop all profanity, no matter what, it will immediately reduce the amount of anger we manage. A lot of times people don't realize that, but cursing inflames anger. I can't repeat that enough, but it does. Cursing inflames anger. Stop name calling. I had a family member call me out of my name all the time, and it is another fuel for anger. I'm like, why does he have to keep calling me everything but my name? Stop threatening. Threats are devastating to relationships. Haven't you seen that? Oftentimes you hear many people threatening, and it's devastating to the person that you're in relationship with. Stop pointing. Pointing a finger is an subconscious action. Many fail to realize it. It's devastating to have somebody come up in your face and point. It triggers many things. And I said, don't point your finger at me. I have to tell them, get out of my face. Get your hand out of my face. And eventually that person did that time. But there have been other times they didn't pay no attention. But it is a subconscious action. Stop yelling. Yelling is a destructive behavior. And I see it so oftentimes, and I don't like to be around it. I don't like to be in that atmosphere because I'm working on me. I'm trying to make myself a good individual, a healthy individual. And I can't do it as long as I'm around destructive behavior. Do not use a mean tone. Almost everybody that I'm around uses a mean tone. I'm like, can we change the tone? The tone escalates other issues. Stop sarcasm. I have somebody that is very sarcastic, and they don't realize how much pain and hurt sarcastic remarks cause to the ones we love. Stop throwing things, slamming doors, and banging walls. Oftentimes, when people can charge you with that and you didn't, but because there's a wind in the air, and a door might close harder than it normally does because high winds outside or whatever. They think that you are like them because that's what they do. Stop all non-affectionate touchings. Do not touch anyone while you are angry. That is nerve-wracking. That is frustrating. I can't even say all the words it is when you know somebody's angry and they want to touch you. I'm like, don't do that. Don't touch me. And it's okay to say, don't do that. Stop telling hero stories. Stop sighing. Stop criticizing and lecturing. How many times have you been through that? Criticisms, and somebody often want to lecture you, and they are so clueless of what they talking about. Stop completely, no matter what. Shelving this behavior and taking assertive action demands a dramatic shift in values and behavior. It is important to track your behavior on the anger meter. And the anger meter is right there on the screen here. And writing comments to remind yourself why you were angry. The key to successful anger management is accountability and applying the tools of anger management. We talked about abstaining from negative thoughts and behavior, developing new beliefs, and communication. Okay. Sometime in your spare time, you might want to monitor and record the highest number you reach on the anger meter. And I'm going to tell you about the anger meter once again. I think I brought this up a couple of classes ago, but I'm going to go back over it. And you write a comment to remind you of why you were angry. For example, the wife was late picking you up from work, husband forgot birthday, etc. But be prepared to discuss the highest level of anger you reach during the week in the next week session. And you might want to, like, the first column be the day ranking and the comment, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So being today is Wednesday, you might want to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, however you want to do it. And you can take the meter right there, 10 being the highest, that's the explosive, 9 being violent, 8 loss of control. Next is negative actions. Number 6, argue. 5, disrespectful. 4, ignoring. 3, 2, 1 is the lowest. All right. I want to go over what we said that we were going to discuss about anger, the events that trigger anger. And I just touched on a little bit of it, but we're going to go into detail. When you get angry, it is because an event has provoked your anger. For example, you may get angry when the bus is late. That's why I don't take the bus no more. I ain't being late, but anyway, when you have to wait in line at the grocery store, or when a neighbor plays his stereo too loud. How many can relate to that? Everyday events such as these can provoke your anger. Oftentimes, specific events touch on sensitive areas in your life. And these sensitive areas or red flags, usually they refer to long-standing issues that can easily lead to anger. For example, some of us may have been slow readers as children and may have been sensitive about our reading ability. Although we may read well now as adults, we may continue to be sensitive about this issue. I can relate to that. I don't know how many others can, but I can. This sensitivity may be revealed when someone rushes us while we are completing an application or reviewing a memorandum and may trigger anger because we may feel that we are being criticized or judged as we were when we were children. This sensitivity may also show itself in a more direct way, such as when someone calls us slow or stupid. In addition to events experienced in the here and now, you may also recall an event from your past that made you angry. You might remember, for example, how the bus always seemed to be late before you left home for an important appointment. Just thinking about how late the bus was in the past can make you angry in the present. Another example may be when you recall a situation involving a family member who betrayed or hurt you in some way. Remembering this situation or this family member can raise your number on the anger meter. Here are the examples of events or issues that can trigger anger. Long waits to see your doctor. Excuse me. Traffic congestion. Oh, sometimes I used to. I remember when I did get angry about traffic congestion, but I remember just a few months ago, I was in traffic for at least an hour, maybe longer, but I was just as content because I remember my dad, as we used to travel a lot together, he said, don't get upset because it's working for your good. And a few hours later, we realized had we moved quicker, we would have been into a 13 car pileup, 13 car pileup. So I'm like, God, that was working for our good because you saved us from being in that pileup. We could have been killed, we could have been injured, but I am here tonight, alive and teaching this broadcast. Crowded buses, a friend joking about a sensitive topic. Yeah, I had somebody to joke about something that I did not want to joke about the other day. And I said, please don't do that. And I left it alone because I didn't want to get angry. A friend not paying back money owed to you. Being wrongly accused. Oh my goodness. Been there, done that as well. Having to clean up someone else's mess. I didn't like that as a child. Having an untidy roommate. Well, been there, done that. Have a neighbor who plays the stereo too loud. Now, I didn't have a neighbor who plays the stereo too loud, but I have had people to say I played my stereo too loud. But I did not argue, I just turned it down or turned it off. Being placed on hold for a long period of time while on the telephone, that has made me angry. And I'm working on that as well. Being given wrong directions. I don't like that. That's why I seek other ways of getting where I need to go so that I can be on time. I can control my anger. Rumors being spread about your relapse that are not true. Having money or property stolen from you. These are some of the triggers that can cause you to get angry. Okay, we're going to move to cues to anger. A second important aspect of anger monitoring is to identify the cues that occur in response to the anger provoking event. These cues serve as warning signs that you have become angry and that your anger is continuing to escalate. They can be broken down into 4 cue categories. The first cue, physical, behavioral, emotional, and cognitive or thought cues. Physical cues. They involve the way our bodies respond when we become angry. For example, our heart rates may increase. We may feel tightness in our chest, or we may feel hot and flushed. These physical cues can also warn us that our anger is escalating out of control or approaching a 10 on the anger meter. This is starting down here at the bottom and escalating up. And when we get up in here, it's getting serious. And when it's up here, it's out of control and you need to do something about it. Okay. Physical cues can also warn us that our anger is escalating out of control in response to an anger-provoking event. Can you identify some of the physical cues that you have experienced when you have become angry? Behavior cues. Behavioral cues involve the behaviors we display when we get angry, which are observed by other people around us. For example, we may clench our fists, pace back and forth, slam a door, or raise our voices. These are some of the behavior cues. And these behavior responses are the second cue of our anger. As with physical cues, they are warning signs that we may be approaching a 10 on the anger meter. That's what I was just showing you on the screen, that you are quickly escalating to the number 10 on the meter. What are some of the behavior cues that you have experienced and when you have become angry? Emotional cues. Emotional cues involve other feelings that may occur concurrently with our anger. For example, we may become angry when we feel abandoned, afraid, discounted, disrespected, guilty, humiliated, impatient, insecure, jealous, or rejected. These kind of feelings are the core or primary feelings that underline or underlie our anger. It is easy to discount these primary feelings because they often make us feel vulnerable. An important component of anger management is to become aware of and to recognize the primary feelings that underlie our anger. We will view anger as a secondary emotion to these more primary feelings. Can you identify some of the primary feelings that you have experienced during an episode of anger? Moving to cognitive cues. Cognitive cues refer to the thoughts that occur in response to the anger provoking event. When people become angry, they may interpret events in certain ways. For example, we may interpret a friend's comments as criticism, or we may interpret the actions of others as demeaning, humiliating, or controlling. Some people call these thoughts self talk because they resemble a conversation we are having with ourselves. For people with anger problems, this self talk is usually very critical and hostile in tone and content. It reflects beliefs about the way they think the world should be, beliefs about people, places, and things. Closely related to thoughts and self talk are fantasies and images. We view fantasies and images as other types of cognitive cues that can indicate an escalation of anger. For example, we might fantasize about seeking revenge on a perceived enemy or imagine or visualize our spouse having an affair. When we have these fantasies and images, our anger can escalate even more rapidly. Can you think of other examples of cognitive or thought cues? And I would like to explain the check-in procedure. As you look at the meter and as you start doing some of the assignments that I ask for y'all to do before next class, you begin to monitor your anger and identify anger provoking events and situations. And in this weekly session, there will be a check-in procedure to follow up on your assignment from the previous week and to report the highest level of anger reached on the anger meter during this week. And you must identify the event that triggered your anger, the cues that were associated with your anger, and the strategies that you use to manage your anger in response to the event. And you will be using these following questions to check in at the beginning of the session. What was the highest number you reached on the anger meter during the past week? What was the event that triggered your anger? And what cues were associated with the anger provoking event? For example, what were the physical, behavioral, emotional, or cognitive cues? And what strategies did you use to avoid reaching number 10 on the anger meter? And you will also be asked to monitor and record the highest number that you reached on the anger meter for each day of the upcoming week after each session. And I'm gonna go over the cues to anger once again. Number one was physical, which the examples was rapid heartbeat, tightness in chest, feeling hot or flushed. Number two, behavioral. Examples, pacing, clenching fists, raising voice, and staring. Number three, emotional. Examples, fear, hurt, jealousy, and guilt. And the last one, cognitive thoughts. Examples, hostile, self-talk, images of aggression, and revenge. We got about 9 minutes left, and I want to open up for any comments or questions. Uh-oh. Excuse me. My computer just went down a minute, but we're back up. And there may be somebody that has a question or a comment. Oh, somebody did. Somebody did come on, but they didn't have a comment. Well, we still have a little time. Anybody that want to write something to me to comment or ask a question, we're going to allow you to do so at this moment. We're here to try to help bring more awareness and educate to you that it's more healthier not to be angry, and it's important that we stop getting angry. We have to stop allowing people to rob us of our health, not only our health, but just being a changed person. We need to let go of our anger, leave rage behind, do not preoccupy, because it only leads to evil. We also want to remind you to refrain from anger, turn from wrath, do not fret. It leads only to evil. And the last food for thought or nugget that I want to give to you is stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Do not lose your temper. It only leads to harm. And when you find yourself going up this meter, then you realize that you're in a danger zone. You got to get yourself out of that danger zone and come on back down to zero. So if there's not any comments or questions, it is about 8:09 and we are getting off a little early tonight. But we will be back on with Parsons Acts tomorrow evening at 7:30 for those who want to join. And those who are in the local area of Hagerstown, don't forget to uh, ask me for the certification form so that we can report who we serving, what location, what ethnicity. We do not turn your name in, even though the form asks for your name, we do not turn that in because it's not necessary for them to know your name. But we just want to show them that we are serving people who qualify for such programs as we offer. So we will see you next Wednesday at 7:30, and come prepared with your test that you did on yourself. What triggers your anger? How did you cope with it? And we will discuss it. So this is going to end our broadcast, and we will see you in Anger Management 101 next Wednesday, September. Oh my goodness, September. March, I believe that date will be around the 16th of March. We will be back with you in anger management. But if you want to join us tomorrow night, which is March 10th in Parsons Act, feel free. And on Friday evening, we are offering a grief series. And that's for anybody who's had any type of loss. We want you to come and get your healing from grieving, because it's nothing wrong with grieving, but if you're not grieving healthy, it can do more damage than good. So we invite you on Friday evening, but you must have an invitation to get on a Zoom. We do that class on Zoom, and we will send you the link. But if you look at the announcement on Facebook, you will see the ID and the password. But as I forestated, for those who are from the Hagerstown area, we need you to register because you are the ones that the funding is for. So we don't want to pry in your business, but we are trying to help you get the things that you may need without paying any money. So just let me know, inbox me on Facebook or email me, pastorparson57@gmail.com. Be blessed.